Let's now bring in security strategist Andy Mashaile, who joins us to explore this further. A very good evening to you. Thank you so much for joining us on the late edition. I mean, we're listening to some of the trends that are now progressing, the modus operandi that we learn of, these ATM bombings organized behind bars and orchestrated and planned over a 6-month period. I mean, shocking revelations. Does this come as a surprise to you?
No, it doesn't come as a surprise to me, my wonderful sister and your heavyweight champion viewers, because every 7 days, criminals devise a new modus operandi. And the new modus operandi would include infrastructure where people are housed to conduct their planning. Sometimes it happens in their own homes, like we saw the ones that were exchanging bullets with the police in Limpopo and got mowed down. That would be a remote place where you don't suspect people operating from behind the high walls. It is this background that leads me to believe, based on my research and on other colleagues' research, it is this reason that makes me believe that we need to find ways and means of infiltrating these gangs so that you can then be able to deal decisively with your cash in transit heist, your ATM bombings. Speaking from experience, way back in 2010, from 2010 to 2013, the leadership of the police in Gauteng under General Petros, Mzwandile Petros, your General Spearhead of the Hawks, your General Gelas of the world, and all others who were part and parcel of the team, working side by side or hand in glove with us, we were able, or they were able, the police and the community together, they were able to bring ATM bombings to zero, cash in transit highs to zero. You remember Gauteng was number 9 out of all the provinces, suggesting that this was the capital city of crime. And that situation was turned around. Gauteng became number 1, suggesting that there is a way in which this can be stopped.
Gauteng Law Enforcement believes that they've thwarted the ATM bombing syndicate by arresting the masterminds. Do you believe that perhaps they may be working on the same framework and planning as you make mention of Gauteng once being number 1?
Yes, ma'am. In the police, what they would do, they would look at effective methods, they would enhance those methods. Hence, you now have your Operation Chanelas of the world. Hence, you have your Ukai Molau. Enhancement on the previous successful methods that were used before. But I need to highlight to you that the fact that syndicates have a certain hierarchy. When you have the mastermind, second in command takes over, working hand in glove with the mastermind. So the fact that you have arrested the mastermind must also consider who the other operatives are. And I am sure after the tea and cake session between the police and the mastermind or those who are arrested, you will then be able to find out who are the other members of the syndicate and bundle some of them into your vans and place them in your cells, leading up to prosecution, conviction, and incarceration.
When it comes to the arrests of the masterminds, most of whom are foreign nationals, does that now perhaps speak to the bigger picture, as you make mention of, that perhaps some of the people who are part of this syndicate are not even in the country?
The mix of the masterminds, I specifically use the word mix. It's not exclusively foreign nationals. Our own people in the country are joining these syndicates. And what irks my anger is the fact that some of these international syndicates, I'm talking about big syndicates, your Yakuzas of the world, your Drangheta in Italy, your Mexican cartels, are the ones who are playing the strings, employing some of our people in the country and internationally, including foreign nationals who go and commit these heists, and the money that they net from these processes would then go to these international syndicates who are facilitating the crimes that are happening in our country. When you read the crime index, Africa Crime Index Report 2023, you will then be able to see how these organized crime gangs operate under the leadership of the international syndicates and working hand in glove with international syndicates.
We're now learning that dye-stained cash is no longer a deterrent to ATM bombings. What does that indicate?
It indicates advancement in the organization of the teams that commit these crimes. What am I talking about? That stained dye is a chemical. It is designed and developed by chemists, and your syndicates would also be in the same space, headspace, and employ chemists who will then be able to come up with a chemical that will dilute the dye without affecting the quality of the note.
Wow. Really, really shocking to hear. But unfortunately, our time is up. We're going to have to leave it there for now. But thank you so much for those revelations as we speak about ATM bombings, really just looking at the inner workings and the masterminds being arrested in Gauteng. And of course, an indication that that is only the tip of the iceberg, because it gets even deeper than that. Speaking there, as we speak about the security strategist, Mashaile, speaking to us about that.